I'm Austin Meyer, and I wrote a flight simulator called XPlane. XPlane is a computer program that lets pilots practice flying their airplanes on their home computers so they can fly the real airplane more safely. Also, it lets people that aren't pilots at all see what it would be like to enjoy the thrill of flight. Some years ago, I decided to make a version of XPlane for the Google Android operating system. This way, people with Google Android phones could enjoy flying imaginary airplanes on their phone. Just like any developer would, I uploaded that version of XPlane to the Google Play Store. People downloaded it and loved it. Some time went by, and then it happened. I was sued by a company called Uniloc. Uniloc claimed to own the patent for the Google Play Store. And because they claimed to own the patent or the idea of the Google Play Store, they were suing myself and many other companies simply for using it. Uniloc had nothing to do with the creation of the Google Play Store. Uniloc had nothing to do with the creation of XPlane. I never even heard of Uniloc before I got the lawsuit. But that didn't matter. They were suing me and many other companies simply for using the Google Play Store, claiming to own the idea of it. So, what is this patent exactly that they hold? This exactly is the claim in the patent that Uniloc said we infringed on. That's it. That's the claim. Computer code executable on an electronic device to prevent unauthorized access to electronic data stored on the electronic device. That doesn't have one bit of source code. That doesn't have one bit of useful information. Those words are of no use to any developer or computer programmer. All those words do is say that if anyone else uses an online store, then they have to pay the patent holder money, because the patent holder wrote down the general idea that someone else went to the trouble to actually enable. Uniloc is owned by a larger group called the Marathon Patent Group. The Marathon Patent Group is a company traded on the NASDAQ whose only source of income is suing people for patent infringement. Imagine a company traded on the NASDAQ, the stock exchange that's supposed to help the development of technology companies, whose only mission is to sue people for creating and using technology. It seems like the Marathon Patent Group's goal isn't to foster innovation, but to destroy it. So what type of patents are these companies using to sue people? Well, most people think that if you have a patent, that must mean that you thought of something amazing, because the patent office wouldn't approve the patent any other way. Well, here's a look at some actual patents that the United States Patent Office has actually approved. So this is what the United States Patent Office approves routinely. And now that we see what the United States Patent Office routinely approves, it should be no surprise that Uniloc was able to get their flimsy patent past the Patent Office, get it approved, and then start rolling out the lawsuits. As a result of that failing at the Patent Office, the lawsuit against me over these words has been dragging on now for over 4 years, and there's no end in sight. My daughter was 1 year old when I got this lawsuit. She's 5 now, and she's grown up always under the threat of having her future taken away from her to be handed to a lawyer in Texas that's suing me for using the Google Store. That's right, this case was filed in the Eastern District of Texas. I live in South Carolina, but I'm going to be put on trial in front of a jury in the Eastern District of Texas to defend myself for committing the crime of using the Google Play Store. The judge assigned to this case was a man by the name of Leonard Davis. Judge Leonard Davis of the Eastern District of Texas has a history of almost never throwing out patent trolling lawsuits, has a history of almost never making patent trolls pay the legal fees of the people they sue frivolously. As I was researching these cases, I found another judge's name that kept coming up, John Ward. John Ward also had a history of almost never tossing out patent trolling lawsuits, of almost never making patent trolls pay for the damage they were doing. Why? Why wouldn't the judges toss out this endless stream of frivolous lawsuits flowing into the Eastern District of Texas? Meet Bo Davis. Bo Davis is a lawyer, also in the Eastern District of Texas, that represents patent trolls and their victims. Meet Johnny Ward. Johnny Ward is a lawyer in the Eastern District of Texas that represents patent trolls and their victims. I think you might see it now. Bo Davis is Judge Leonard Davis's son. Johnny Ward is Judge John Ward's son. The lawyers are the sons of the judges. So, if Judge Leonard Davis and John Ward can encourage more patent trolls to bring more lawsuits in their Eastern District of Texas and then never toss out the cases, never grant any motion to transfer to a different venue, it's their sons that will rack up the billable hours. A lawyer named Stephen Hill of a law firm called Hill, Kershaw, and Wharton in Atlanta, Georgia, has sued people for using scanners, claiming that his client owns the patent on using scanners, not creating scanners, using scanners. Steve Hill set up some dummy corporations to hide his client's identity so that nobody could find out who was actually behind the lawsuits. Imagine going to a law firm and saying, hey, I want to sue people for using scanners, but I don't want anybody to find out who I am while it's happening. What can we do about that? And the lawyer's saying, oh, well, we'll just set up some dummy corporations to hide your identity while we send out the lawsuits. No one will find out who you are while we rack in the settlements. And countless people have been sued or threatened to be sued for using a scanner since then, including, by the way, a company called Cobb Pediatric Therapy, a small company that helps disabled children. And then there's lots of other cases like this as well. A lawyer named Raymond Nairo has sued people for using Wi-Fi. Raymond claims to own the patent on how to use Wi-Fi, not creating Wi-Fi, using Wi-Fi. Of course, Raymond Nairo, a lawyer in Chicago, had nothing to do with the creation of Wi-Fi. But that doesn't stop him from suing people for using it. I interviewed Raymond Nairo.
I said, listen, you're using this guy's invention. You got to pay him a royalty. No, I'm not going to pay him. What do we do? I go to you and I say, what do you want to do? I say, I want to stop them. I want them to pay me. They're stealing my property. They came to my house and took my goods. They went on my farm and took my animals. They infringed my patent. They took my property. I say, okay, I'll help you. If it's meritorious, I'll help you. Is there something wrong with that? Is that un-American? Is that wrong? I don't get it. Last time I checked, when you take somebody's property, they have the right to come after you and say, stop. We're forgetting here, patents are property. They're issued by the government. If I have a patent for Wi-Fi that's specific and is useful and novel, then yeah, it's my property. And if you infringe it, you got to pay me a license fee.
So those are the lawyers. But what about the businesses behind the lawsuits? Maybe the lawyers are representing thriving, bustling businesses, helping with innovation as the lawyers claim. Is that really the case? To find out, I found the first 55 patent infringement lawsuits I could find in the Eastern District of Texas. Hopped in my single-engine airplane and went there. Office, as far as I can tell. So we can come and see. Why don't we bring the camera around and see what's going on in this office here. This is just a few days after they received $33 million for patents, and this is in the middle of the day on a Thursday. Let's keep going. Here we have Per Diem Co. Per Diem Co. filed a patent infringement lawsuit. Hello? Hello? We'll keep walking. If they come out, we'll go talk to them. This is the office listed for a company called Flawed. And if anybody wants to travel to Marshall, Texas and see it for themselves, we're at 505 East Travis Street. Flawed is well known as being one of the biggest patent assertion entities in the world. They sue a lot of people for patent infringement. This is their address. Hello? And they claim to be from Marshall, Texas, where we are now. Let's keep walking. Here we have a company called Packet Intelligence. They have filed 2 lawsuits for patent infringement. Hello? We've been walking up and down these halls for about 25 minutes now looking for anyone, and no one's been here. But a large number of patent infringement lawsuits come out of this hallway. Well, I guess we'll go to the next address.
It's been empty for, we looked at that space because when we moved in here, it's been empty.
No one's in their office today.
No one's in there today. Oh. Maybe knock on the door?
No one's down there.
Okay. This is the address used for a lawsuit for patent infringement that Qualicode filed. How about Lake Cherokee Hard Drive? Could we see them?
No, this is just an accounting firm. We do the...
Oh, I see. What about Bluebonnet Telecommunications?
Same thing.
What about Starco LED Technologies?
All the same.
Oh, they're not actually
No,
here.
the only entity here is A&G LLP.
Are these companies here?
I mean, I serve as a registered agent for them.
I see.
They are located in East Texas.
Can you say where? When I went up to Suite 1504, I saw a company called Collins Investigations. I said, these companies are filing lawsuits that cost $3 million to defend against, and they're all based right here in your office that's about 15 feet wide. What's going on? And he said, well, patents are property just like anything else, and I have no further comment. And that's when they showed me the door and closed the door in my face, and this is the next thing I saw. Jellyfish Technology of Texas, InMotion LLC, ArcSar LLC, Marshall Feature Recognition LLC, Hopewell Culture, $Design, Wyland Technologies, Specialized Monitoring Solutions LLC. All these companies, they've all filed patent infringement lawsuits, and they're all the exact same address. What is that address? Well, here we are at the courthouse. Look across the street, and we see 104 East Houston Street, across the street from the courthouse. Let's go see what we see. Come on in. Lights. Nothing there. McCool Smith, sounds like a law firm. The Hartfield Law Firm. McCool Smith, sounds like a law firm. McCool Smith, sounds like a law firm. So here we are at Specialized Monitoring Solutions. When I Google them, just find lawsuits they filed, patent infringement lawsuits. Specialized Monitoring Solutions versus Siemens versus Johnson versus United Technologies versus Honeywell International versus Schneider Electric USA versus RMC Integration versus Emerson Network Power. The list goes on. All I can find of Specialized Monitoring Solutions is the patent infringement lawsuits they filed. Let's see if there's anyone there. So we're here at 211 West Tyler. It's an address that a lot of lawsuits come from. There doesn't seem to be anybody here. So this company's been suing Intel, Dell, HP. Yet, as far as what they produce, well, their office is kind of this kind of rundown place, the blackout shades and curtain behind it. When I look up Aloft Media sues 10 cause over weather patent. Aloft Media sues SAP over a messaging patent. Aloft Media LLC versus Yahoo. Adobe, Microsoft accused of infringing on browser-related patents. If you're wondering where these patent infringement lawsuits are coming from, if it's from Aloft or Strachan or Azure, this is it. So, those are the so-called businesses that are behind these patent trolling lawsuits. Shell companies hiding behind fake addresses in abandoned office buildings. So when I tell people about this, they say things like, hey Austin, if Uniloc has a problem with the Google store, why don't they just sue Google, not all the people that are using Google? Well, here's the thing about that. If Uniloc were to sue Google, then Uniloc would probably lose because Google can defend itself. Remember, these cases cost about $3 million to defend. But if Uniloc sues all the people that use Google, think of the settlements they can rack up. Almost nobody can afford the $3 million defense fee, so they're forced to settle. Some people say, oh, Austin, you should countersue Uniloc. Get your money back. Well, countersue them? For what? Uniloc creates no goods. They create no services. They don't do anything. What can you sue them for when they haven't actually done anything? As well, since patent trolls are typically shell corporations, whatever money they take in, they rapidly distribute into their own pockets, leaving their company an empty shell. Even if you get a judgment against a patent troll, the company simply folds up. There's nothing left to collect. All the money's been drained out of the company by the company owners. Some people say, oh gosh, this is a terrible thing that happens in America. I would just move to another country to get away from it. Minor problem with that. Several companies that are in the same lawsuit that I am in for using the Google store are from England or Sweden, including initially Mojang, the creators of Minecraft. So these companies outside of the USA are still being dragged into the court in the Eastern District of Texas. You can't escape patent trolling just by leaving the United States. This is a little virus that comes through the Eastern District of Texas to infect the entire planet. You can't escape it by crossing a national boundary. Patent trolls routinely file lawsuits internationally. Mojang, ultimately, one of the companies who was sued alongside me, was recently purchased by Microsoft, and Microsoft proceeded to pay Uniloc off. Microsoft could defend themselves, but chose not to. Now, partially as a result of that, the patent trolls are going to start coming after more and more small businesses that cannot defend themselves. So this happens all the time. The question is, why don't you already know it? And here's the answer. The patent troll, once he's sued you, will only let the lawsuit against you stop if you sign what's called a non-disclosure agreement. This is an agreement that says you will never tell anyone what happened to you. So, when a patent troll starts suing you, he won't let the lawsuit against you stop until you promise to never tell anyone what happened. And that is why patent trolling happens all the time, but this might be the first time you've ever heard about it.
My name is Colleen Chen. I'm a professor at Santa Clara University Law School. I teach students about patents, intellectual property.
This was supposed to get solved in something called, I think, the Innovation Act. And I think it was Harry Reid stopped it from ever being voted on, or so I heard. Is that true?
Well, it takes a lot of things for a bill to become a law. And so even though this got the overwhelming support of the House and was voted very strongly out of there, it never made it out of committee in the Senate side because Harry Reid purportedly said over my dead body that this would be actually discussed, and that was because of his support from the trial lawyers.
So much for America.
Okay.
That might be really good footage.
Yeah.
It makes you want to strangle Harry Reid. So
Yeah, I mean, you can say reportedly. I don't know if that
you said reportedly.
I did. Okay, all right, good.
So, in summary, these are what patents actually are. This is the patent I'm being sued for using the Google store. These are the businesses that file the lawsuits. The real owners hidden behind shell companies. This is the government response to attempts to fix the system, and this is the lawmaker that stopped reform the last time we could have fixed this. So what's next? Well, using Wi-Fi, using scanners, using the Google store, these are just a few of the things that patent trolls are currently suing people for doing. If I lose my lawsuit, then Uniloc will obviously use that as their justification to sue more people for using the Google store in the future. First, they rack up the settlements, then they use those settlements as a justification to file more lawsuits, saying, hey, the last guys paid us, so you need to as well. So not surprisingly, patent trolling increases over time. You can see from this chart how fast it's growing. And as you may be able to predict, particularly if you start a small business, they're coming after you next.